What's going on, y'all? 75Junction, it's your boy Sherm. I'm here with a very special guest today. Today I'm here with Cornell Holder, aka Coach Q. He
Hey,
has
hey.
invited me into his home. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course,
All the
man.
way, we are in Fredericksburg, Virginia, so I took a little hike.
Right.
Drove
We
through
in them
some country
sticks.
roads. Yeah, drove through some country roads, man. Saw alpaca farm. It was crazy. I was like, damn, they have
Wow.
these out here.
Right.
So
Very different from the 757.
correct. You know, I mean, unless you go to like Sofa, you see
Hey,
like, the open fields.
exactly.
Yeah, so we have Coach Q here. He is a publicist. He is a music playlist curator. You are a tour manager. You are a content creator,
Yeah, man.
husband,
Oh,
new father.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That husband and that
Absolutely.
father, those are my favorites.
Okay, nice.
Those are my
Okay.
tops. Yeah.
Nice, man. So for those who don't know you though, man, can you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So, like as you stated, Cornell Holder. I really used to just go by Q, but I just kind of picked up the moniker Coach Q. I actually got it at Trelectro. I think this is when I was running around with Chu Jackson. Shout out Chu Jackson. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. He was Mac Miller's artist. And then I was actually running around with Kimbe X, TDE affiliate, who just dropped an amazing project. It was really like, the internet is like going crazy with him. I can't remember the name of the song, but he just had his last single. I think it had like J Rock, and I think it had Schoolboy on it too. It was super dope. Kimbe's been killing it for a long time, man. Chicago cat that I mess with. But I think I was running around with them. I think Bia was supposed to be with me too, because this is when I was doing her PR at the time. But I said all that to say, my homegirl, Chu's homegirl, Devin, we met her there. And I think I had the famous, everybody sees me with like the same one picture. I just got my hat, my little polo, and my little Adidas track pants. And she was like, yo, you're like a Coach Q. And I was like, oh, that's hard. I was like, it just was me. And then plus, of course, the whole Coach K thing, quality control. He's a super big influence. Right. And then Coach K, the basketball coach as well. So, just for what I do, I've always been into sports. I wasn't never no top athlete or nothing, but I've always been into sports, and I like the idea of how it relates to the industry. So yeah, that's how I got my moniker. But yeah, so man, I guess the shortest way, without getting too deep into it, would be, yeah, I'm the founder, co-founder of a media and PR agency. Right, my jobs right now are I'm also the playlist curator for Audio Mac. Specifically, it was Hometowns Heroes Virginia, but I actually got a promotion maybe 2-3 months back, maybe. So I'm actually the curator for the whole DMV. And when I say DMV, not to get into that crazy debate, but I mean the actual whole DMV. So it is DC, Maryland, Virginia. It'll be, 75 up to Richmond, Baltimore, like everywhere in this particular region.
Yeah, I know they always have button heads like, oh, 757 and 804 is not, well, 804 I guess you can count, but 757 not the
exactly. It's a million conversations, but I don't get too heavy into that just because I've lived in a lot of these different places or worked out at a lot of these different places, and for me, it's about including people. I don't like excluding people, so I don't really get too deep into that, especially when everyone from DC, Maryland, Virginia, wherever they're from, has contributed to where I'm at now. So that as well. And then outside of that, which we were talking about a little bit off camera, I'm also a chapter member for the Recording Academy for the Grammys for DC. So DC is our closest chapter. So I think everyone from like North Carolina and up is DC up until you get clearly to DC. Right. So those are my three main, my kind of like my pride and joys, that I kind of do right now.
Okay, absolutely, man. So what kind of got you involved in the media world? Like what was like your inspiration, or what sparked you to get involved in that?
Man, this is dope. So I've always been somebody that was super interested in music, fashion, pop culture. My family is originally from New York. So I was always like the little cousin who, summers, You know, you go up to New York, hang out with your cousins, you know, all these different things. So I was heavily into the Dipset. I was heavily into, you know, all of those different things. And then also because of the New York influence, I also was heavy like on the boom bap side too.
Okay.
So I would have to say it was my junior or senior year. I can't remember now. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
In high school. I reconnected with a childhood friend. He goes by the name of El Antonio Gosen, but everyone knows him as LA. He grew up in Newport News. I think he went to Woodside, I want to say.
Okay, Woodside probably.
Yeah,
That's where I was at.
yeah. I think he went to Woodside.
Okay.
But basically, he had a birthday party. We reconnected. You know how it is. You kind of lose whatever with friends because we grew up together when we were a little younger, and then, you know, of course, we, like went to middle school, we moved, his parents moved, whatever, and we reconnected at his birthday party, and he had a group of guys, and he made a presentation. I didn't know any of these guys or anything. They were all from Newport News. Okay. You know, I grew up in Hampton. So he makes this presentation, and it was called Hero Villain, and I was just like,
Hero Villain.
Yeah, I was like, this is kind of cool, whatever. And he made a presentation, and the presentation was okay, you know, whatever. But the thing that was interesting was he had his friends with him, and they all presented it with him. And it sounds cliche now because everyone says it, but he was like, hey, you know, Hero Villain is going to be a brand. He was like, but it's going to be a lifestyle. You know, everybody says that. Right. But I saw it though. Like when he said it, it wasn't cliche, and I understood what he was trying to say. And again, like I told you, so my family's from New York. So when I saw him, the thing that was important was not only did I kind of get inspired, because I was kind of like, man, this is kind of cool. But what I also saw was the guys and the guys that were around him, they dressed like me. This is when I was really into. This was the transition area. I think this is like when Ye first started doing a lot of solo music. So this is around Through the Wire. We're just getting introduced to Lupe Fiasco. What is it? CRS? Is it CRS or CSR? Place. What was the group with Pharrell, Lupe, and
shit.
Man, who was the last guy? I don't even know who the last guy was. Damn. Pharrell, Lupe, and
the last.
Was it Ye? Was it Ye? It was Kanye.
Was it?
Was it Ye? I feel like was it? I don't know, but you know, right? It was that time frame, and I was like, yo, these guys are just like me. And we just like hung out. Like after they did the presentation, I was like, wow. But like, of course, for the rest of the day, I kind of just hung out with them. We were talking and joking and different things, and I just was on some like, I was like, wow, like these dudes are like, I had friends, you know what I'm saying, whatever, and it was cool. But you know how you meet certain people and you're like, no, these are like, we haven't known each other for long, but I feel like I've known y'all forever. Y'all, we think the same, right. Same taste in girls, this, that, everything. And I caught all of that from one day. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be down. You know what I'm saying? I told LA, like when I pulled him to the side, like before I left, and I was like, yo, bro, I want to be a part of this, man. I was like, I want to be a part of this. And he just was like, okay, cool. And, you know, I think he let me be like, help out, like start off at like street team or something like that. And that just evolved super quick. Like, I think we're talking a couple weeks, maybe a month. I went from like street teaming to his business partner. Like he took me downtown, like first person I ever saw and was on a business license with. And you know, clearly we weren't like making a whole bunch of money or whatever, but it was the principle. Like he was teaching me principles of business, how to get things done, equity. And he really showed me how much he valued me. And that was really the beginning, I would say, of me really starting to get into the mix. And from there, I just kind of went from, I created this blog called The Red Tag Society. And I created the blog because I wanted an outlet to kind of push and promote Hero Villain without it being so obvious. So it couldn't be, you know, we had a blog spot for the clothing line, but I started to be like, people like things that are cool, but you want to mix it in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you listen to read an adult magazine, if you see an indie artist in there, and if it's double XL, but you see an indie artist page, you're gonna read the indie artist page because it's double XL. Right. You're already intrigued with all the big rappers and the big names that you already know. So you wanna kind of be like, well, this guy must be something. So that was kind of like the model that I used.
Okay, so let me ask you something. So you familiar with Something Water and all that stuff going on?
Absolutely.
So if you've seen the lineup for this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know a lot of the artists up there, and a lot of people are saying that it's trash because they don't know the artists. So me, I'm not gonna sit here in front. I didn't know a lot of the artists, but I did my due diligence. I actually went and looked them up.
Actually Googled them.
And yeah.
Right. Yeah. Actually did some research.
Music. I was like, yo, these people are actually really good. Like who is it? Like Tank and the what is it? Tank and the something. I forget.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. I thought it was the singer Tank.
Nah. Yeah.
I went and saw. I was like, oh, it's female and this group of other creators and stuff. I was like, okay, so let me see what's up with it. And it was actually really good. I was like, okay, this is good stuff.
I mean, it's Pharrell.
Yeah.
I think what's starting to happen too, and I think it's easier for us to do it locally, because they do this a lot with Wale too. And they do it with Pharrell too. And I'm saying in the sense of like, when you're from somewhere, we're gonna criticize you harder than anyone else.
That's true, yeah.
And also too, people forget the musical palette that Pharrell has.
Exactly.
And or does now.
Yeah.
So a lot of the names people weren't familiar with because they were in genres that people don't listen to.
Exactly.
They were looking for it to be hip hop, rap, and R&B or soul because that's all I know.
Right.
Or all I want. Not even know. All I want. Because some of them might have known those names or even know the artists.
Yeah, you heard of Foo Fighters and
right, but you don't really know the music and you're not thinking about it like that because you're like, okay, I know Migos, but who is this dude? Who is that dude?
Right.
Yeah, man, I saw that too. And I think, I hate to say it, but like I'm a little like, a little biased because I'm a lot more cultured. So when I see certain things.
You're a music curator. So.
Right, yeah. So it's like, I see certain things. Like I looked at the lineup and thought it was dope because of course, I know the first thing that a lot of people may or may not have noticed was there were a lot of people that first day from last year that didn't get to perform. Right. Because it was canceled.
Exactly, because it rained.
So
we missed Lil Uzi, we missed Jaden Smith.
Yeah,
back this year,
right. So almost every person that he had is on there now. That alone for me, because everybody was mad because of the first day was gone, I'm confused of how the lineup is trash when you were mad that all those people couldn't perform now. Right. These are the people that you guys were mad about that are on there now, plus a whole bunch of more people. So yeah, I see the chatter and different things going on, but I'm not gonna lie. Like to me, I'm like, don't doubt Pharrell. And the funny part is this is what you see. We have no idea who he's bringing out.
Yeah, you don't know who the and Friends is. You know what I'm saying? Last year it was fucking Jay-Z. You know
Hov, like Hov, Snoop.
Was enough.
Who was it? Breezy. Trent. Like it was a movie. And the funny thing is not even the people that came out, the people that were just there.
Yeah.
What? Like it was crazy. So yeah, I did see that.
Clips is coming back. Like, come on, bro.
And it actually says Clips.
Yes, it says Clips. It doesn't say Pusha T and
So I'm interested to know, is it going to be new music, clean music, or is it going to be edited music? Because the one thing about Malice that I know,
he's like very devout. Man.
Yeah, he's not going to play with it. So I'm interested to see how that works, but I'm super excited. That was one thing that was a big standout. And me and Sabrina went to Something in the Water last year. Yeah, it was a great time. Sure. On the spectator side, because we just had the baby. So I think this year, the one that's coming up, I think we might be in a working capacity. Like I said, Sabrina's back working. I'm back. You know what I'm saying, moving around. Zanif's a little older, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm sure you guys will be hearing me talk a little bit more about probably what I'll end up doing with that. But yeah, that was, I saw it. It's again, I'm not gonna lie to you, like that's one of the things that I don't know if it's just a local thing in the sense of because it's where you're at locally, because we do that. I do, like I say we now because I feel like I'm up here now, so I kind of always kind of group myself in DC, especially because my office used to be in Crystal City. So I kind of just group myself like in the DC thing. Right. But that's what just happens when it's on a local level. But I also think a lot what people forget is that if you're not as cultured and you haven't seen more and different things, you can easily call someone ignorant, but you can't explain what it's like to go to Europe to someone that's never been to Europe. Yeah. You can try to tell them, they can watch a lot of movies, but when you physically have been there, it's different. You can't really explain what it's like to be in Japan. You can't really explain what it's like to be in Brazil. You can't and I think I used to be hard on people about that. But like I said, not to put anyone down, but I'm saying that's what happens when you're not cultured and you're not really in the know. And I love the fact that you said the first thing that you did was start looking people up.
Yeah, because this is my thing. Like, I'm not gonna call something trash just because I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why good music gets looked over so much, because people are so quick to discount artists. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, okay, well, I've never heard of you. You're not the baby. You're not a little baby. You're not any type of little. So I'm not finna.
Imagine, so it's like light bulb over the head.
Yeah.
You've never not heard of someone and then heard of them.
Right.
There was this rapper called Lil Wayne that we never heard of.
Right.
He ended up becoming one of the biggest rappers of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah, like this happens. Like, exactly. People didn't know me or you a while ago, and are still learning who we are and what we do. Like the whole I don't know them, they don't have value, to your point. It's ignorance. But again,
absolutely,
that's not me putting anyone down. That's me saying I know what it's like to do that. Because I used to do that. Like before I was in the mix, man, I used to look at it and I was like, oh, that joint trash. Oh, it's woo woo woo. And then now I'm in the mix and I'm like, wow, that's dope. They got so-and-so. Yeah. Like I seen Boogie on there. I seen people that I'm like, there's gonna be names that people are gonna be like, if you're not from a certain place or you don't do a certain thing, there's no way you're gonna know. But when they see them live, they're going to appreciate it. And that's the thing. Right. It's Pharrell. You think he's not curating the best live experience you're gonna have?
Right.
Come on.
And but the crazy thing is that blows my mind is like, I looked up these artists and they have hundreds of thousands of followers, like majority of them hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers. But because they're not from our geographic area,
they're nobody.
We don't know about them.
They're nobody.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if they originate from Texas, Texas is a big ass state. You know
right.
What I'm saying? So if they came from Texas, they already have a huge following. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, you got a huge following in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So when they come from those geographic different positions, and we only know Virginia sound, you know, obviously we're going to be very marginalized as far as what we know.
And it also,
aside from the big mainstream.
Point well taken. And it says more about you than it does them. Yeah. They're on a major lineup for the biggest music festival that Virginia has ever seen. Yeah. You not knowing them doesn't make them not valid.
Yeah, it doesn't invalidate them.
Yeah, that's an opportunity for you, and you did it. That's why it's so dope that you even did that, because I think even people see this, they're gonna be like, yeah, maybe I should start doing that. Yeah, research is cool.
Literally what I did on Facebook, on Facebook, I literally made a status. I said, before y'all discount these artists, I'm going to put every single artist in here that you might not have heard of, and I'm going to put a song to listen to from them. So I literally have on Facebook a whole status of all the artists that nobody might not know, and one song for them.
Why was that important to you?
Because it was important to me because I want to put people onto actual good music. Two, I don't like people bad-mouthing what's going on in Virginia when people complain about nothing happening in Virginia. And when we finally get something, you're going to gripe and complain about it? Like, come on, bro.
Nah, I just asked because that what you just did is how you change people's opinion.
Yeah.
Not by going on their status and be like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right, exactly.
What you did was actually bring light to the situation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of what a lot of what Medium is kind of based around and what we do. That was so dope. Like that sounds like I said, that just sounds like something that I would do, because what I'm starting to realize is being combative when you're trying to get a point across doesn't make people see the view clearer. Like you were talking about the Facebook thing. Apologize my rambling, I ramble. But you're talking about the Facebook thing and how you did that. Well, when the Grammys were going on, I actually went on there and I said a couple things. And the first thing, it was a little snarky, and it was just kind of like, y'all keep talking about, y'all use words like snubbed, overlooked, and different things. I was like, y'all don't even understand the process of getting nominated.
Yeah. So what is the process? I'm not familiar with it either. So.
I only can speak to a certain level just because of the way that it's set up. But I'll tell you the dumbed down version.
Okay.
If you're an artist, right? And either you're an independent artist or you have a label or whatever. So there is a process for you to submit yourself to be nominated.
Okay.
So it starts there. So these are the for your considerations.
Okay.
That's what that means when you start seeing that, right? People do heavy for your consideration campaigns so they can get enough people to get them on what we kind of call like the pre-ballot.
Okay.
So you get the pre-ballot. If you get enough of those and people, if you get enough of those and then the individual chapters,
right.
You have all your paperwork and this and that and all your, all your ducks in a row. That and you get enough of them and people like you. A lot of it is politics.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a voting system, so we know that, right? That's how you get in the running for the nominations, and then they just kind of vote it down. But then it continues to go from your local chapter. That's why we have different chapters. So it'll go DC chapter, New York, LA, this, that, and the third. Okay. And then you get to that final place, and that's where the nomination would come in, and that's where the nomination would take place. So that's why I said I was snarky, but it's easy to be snarky, and that's why I said I'm trying to get to a place now where I stopped doing that because I was ignorant at first. Right. I know the process. So when I hear people say, "Oh, he got snubbed," "Oh, he got this and that," I'm like, nah, he didn't even submit it. Or people don't like him and they don't like his team. Yeah. So when they were submitting to try to get people, we don't like him. Yeah. Being likable is a part of, because you won an award that says everyone likes me, but you don't want to be likable. And they say, well, no, it should only be about the music. Music is subjective. Yeah. So what are you talking about? And you don't want it to be about the numbers, because if you wanted it to be about the numbers, it's called the Billboard Awards.
Yep, exactly. Billboard 100 and that, and typically the ones that do the best, or in my opinion, the songs that do the best and the most mainstream. Sometimes not even really good, as far as like depending on what you consider good music.
Yeah. What you're saying is you're saying the quality of the actual music composition, the song is not that great and it's not that high.
Facts, yeah.
And that's what happens, right? But like I said, I said that to just kind of like counteract what you were talking about, what you did. So I did that, and then I was like, instead of you guys kind of judging or whatever, I was like, if you know what I'm saying, I was like, actually help and be a part. And that's when I actually posted. I posted my. I think I posted my. I don't know if I posted my email. I think I posted my email just talking about the nominations are in. So start the voting process and different things like that. And then I think the next thing that I posted was my actual invitation for the Grammys. Yeah. And I was like, instead of you complaining, I was like, actually be a part of the process of changing it. And that's why I asked you earlier, why did you do that with the something in the water? That's how we change what goes on. Right. We're from Virginia. We can't just keep telling people, oh, that's how people from Virginia are. They're ignorant. They don't know. But how do you know? Someone has to teach you. Exactly. So that's why I said the first thing I did was snarky, but then I followed it up and said, no, let me educate my people and let them know that I'm not just talking. I'm actually a part of the process that can help. So if you really felt like that artist should do X, Y, Z, and you want to be more than a spectator, why aren't you a part of your local chapter? Why aren't you looking into how your voice can count in order to, put somebody in position?
Absolutely. So, okay. No, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. So I wanted to touch on something. So I saw you had posted on Instagram, about the Juice WRLD situation. So obviously, rest in peace to Juice WRLD.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace, Juice, man. Yeah. Wow.
So what? I mean, obviously that hit close to home to you because you had worked with his camp, and stuff like that. So I mean, from the outside in, obviously people have things to say, people have opinions. Some people make jokes, and shame on them for doing that. Right. But what is your take on the whole situation? Obviously, it's tragic. Obviously, right. You wouldn't want something like that to happen ever. But what do you blame, like, the current state of hip hop where we glorify drug use and all that stuff, or like what's your opinion on that?
Oh man, I'm actually glad you asked me this. I'm glad you asked me this now too, because I couldn't answer this question, last week. Earlier this week. It was it was just a little tough. Okay. So I'll answer both of those questions, but for clarity, I just want to explain my relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
So I actually started working with Juice through my guy Josh Berkman. Josh Berkman, he works at Republic. He's an A&R. Josh is actually from Virginia too. Nice. Yeah, he's an A&R for Cash Money. Some of his big projects, of course, were Nicki and Wayne and this and that, whatever. Nice. But he just got a promotion. I believe he is. Don't quote me, but he's like. I believe he has a VP position now at Republic, nice. Which you know is over Cash Money. But I met Josh through Gashi.
Gotcha. I like his music, man, because I didn't know, and that was another thing, I didn't know him, and I saw him pop up on my title screen. I was like, let me just see what he's about. And I actually like this stuff, man. Yeah, he's really good, bro.
So the funny thing is what I'm about to say about Gashi, or what Juice is the same thing. He reached out to me about Gashi. Of course, I started working on that. Clearly, we did a good job. Right. Fast forward, you see where that's at, right? He's on tour right now. Shout out to G. Yeah, sure. But because of the work that I did, from that point on, Josh just started lining up and connecting me with a whole bunch of different artists. That's the good thing about doing good work. You can do good work one time, and you can eat forever because of it. Absolutely. And I was really passionate about Gashi and his music, and I felt like the world needed to know what was going on, so I went hard. So fast forward, he hits me up about Juice. He's like, "Yo, Little Bibby and his brother G Money, they have a new artist." And I was thinking like, "Oh, Bibby has an artist." Now the thing is I know Bibby does a lot of business thing. Like Bibby is like a super, like he's a businessman. I just didn't know to what level. Okay. Yeah, Bibby has his hands in a whole, and his brother G Money have their hands in a whole bunch of stuff.
That's great, because like Lil Bibby, like I haven't heard a whole lot of music from. Like he came out, got popular off music, and I guess he just took that and invested in other things.
Well, the reason why is because Lil Bibby doesn't talk. When you think about all the other people that you think about that do music that came out of that scene, they speak. He do a lot of vlogs. He do a lot of this and the third. He doesn't really talk. Yeah, I think the last big thing that was in the news about him was, remember when they were like, he went to college or something? You remember that? Like that was like a big story. They was like, yo, he's like, he's going to college or whatever. Right. It was funny, but when you really start to, I got to work with him, I was like, oh, that's a joke, but he really is smart. And he really is doing a lot of things behind the scene. Like he really moves like an exec. He is an exec. But so that's how he was like, yo, Bibby and his brother, G Money, they was like, yo, they got a new artist. His name is Juice WRLD. It was like, yo, I think you should. It was like, yo, I think this dude could be huge. It was like, yo, he was like, I need you to do, what you did with Gashi. You know what I'm saying? And
so that's where the PR portion came into play.
And that's where the PR portion came in. And all girls are the same. First record, not first record he ever put out, but it was the first one that, because it came accompanied with the Cole Bennett visual, and you know what I'm saying. And shout out to Cole Bennett. Cole Bennett was super big part of why Juice also had the success, because that lyrical lemonade platform, that man took that thing from nothing to something. It's crazy, but so it was kind of accompanied with that. And I heard the record, and I was like, oh, I got it immediately. And again, it's funny because I was working with Gashi, so I know what like a dope, like hip hop, rap, R&B, like that, where that's at, and I know what it looks like when it starts to cross the pop, and it can be. So as soon as I heard that, I said, oh no, this dude is. This is it, yeah. And this is another thing too that I want to make sure I say here. He was making music like that, but Juice WRLD is still from the same environment as Bibby, Dirk, Herbo.
Right.
The problem, to your point, that we were
Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah. The problem with the media is because you make a certain type of music, they forget that he was still out here losing friends every day. Right. Out here still living that life. Out here still being involved in all of those different things. So it's almost like if you do pop music, the only thing that you could do, if you do pop music, you make sad music, but it's like your life isn't really.
Right.
No, the genre of music that I make doesn't mean that I don't live the same lifestyle as Chief Keef did every single day.
Right.
I want to say that because I think that was a big narrative part of why they even were able to kind of keep saying like, well, yeah, man, you know, that's how these kids be. They be off the da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say that if you thought of him like the street or the urban rappers.
Right.
If you thought of him like that, you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, exactly. You would think it would be like from a gunshot or something, like how we would go out or anything like that. But since he was making that type of music,
it's all the first thing we're saying is, oh, it was XYZ. Mm-hmm. Now don't get it twisted. And he went on record, you know, and said, you know, different things about, you know, how he coped with whatever. But we're talking about my generation. I'll be 30 next year. We're talking about my generation and down, bro. Coping with your issues that you have going on with life. We've been doing it. We do it with, you know, we do it with weed and alcohol all day. Those are just the norm.
Right.
Then there's other, you know what I'm saying, that people get into. I think my biggest point of why I even just brought that up was just that I don't like how, because of the music that he made and the way people looked at him and the type of success that he had, people forgot that even though he is no longer in that position and he was able to move and do certain things, they forget that he still has friends and family that are still in certain positions, are still in certain situations. He's dealing with that.
Right.
And the way that he chose to deal with it is on his time. But I hate the fact that it's like they tried to group him in this box with all these other people. Yeah. He's not all these other people. He's me and you every day seeing something coming out and being like, yo, the world is crazy. It's cruel. Why is this happening? You know what I'm saying? Why am I looked at like this? Why am I a young black man and everything always has to be a struggle or an issue? Right. He was blessed enough to be able to know Bibby and G Money and Josh and this one and all the people that are a part. I don't want to just name names because I know it's a lot of people that, you know, work. Oh, right, but I'm saying all the people that were a part of what he had going on. And they're trying to make it seem like it couldn't be any of us. Right. And the crazy thing is the toxicology report hasn't even officially came out, and they said that they haven't been able to make a full determination on what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I just don't like I don't like that. And again, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I got to work with him so early, and I personally didn't spend a lot of time with him. Mm-hmm. But I know his team, I know his stock. And I know what it's like to be that, because we all were like, if you came up middle class or lower, mm-hmm. this is your life. Right. This is your plight. You know what I mean? So I just, and then so that's my whole thing on that, right? Mm-hmm. The next piece of it, which everyone is like what the news and the media is just kind of reporting, is just more of, you know, they're like, yo, you know, he took too many pills. You know, perks, whatever, this, that, and the third. He took, you know, it was a whole bunch. He tried to, you know, whatever, because I don't know if any of that stuff is true yet. That's all I said. So I have to wait to hear that. But to your point or your question about how people feel about whatever it is, I'm just going to say this. At any given point, I think it's kind of hilarious that the whole thing is, yo, people be glorifying drug use. Mm-hmm. And that's bad. Mm-hmm. But if you're a drug dealer, that's good. Right. But there's someone that we don't make, it's so funny that us minorities, we don't make the guns, we don't manufacture guns, we don't make the drugs, we don't manufacture them. It's so interesting how certain things just end up in our community. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, but then there's a stigma that goes, I mean, if you do drugs and you got to do what you got to do, I mean, sell drugs and you got to do what you got to do to make money, it's no problem. But if you do drugs, you weak and you're this and you're that. And I'm going there. It takes A for there to be B. Right. So there are people that are looking at themselves like, yo, that's why dude is a junkie, whatever. And I'm like, but you sell drugs for a living. Right. I don't care if they're legal or illegal. You sell drugs for a living. Right. If you work, if you work at the ABC store, you are a drug dealer. That sounds crazy, but that's literally what you do. I come up, I get my bottle in hand, and I go do what, Now I can drink and I can go kill somebody. Like I can go drunk drive and it'll be whatever. But what I'm saying is I don't like the way that there's a narrative about just because your life falls on the part where you get caught up, it's so easy for everyone else to get caught up. Yeah. That's the whole 10 crack commandments thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As funny as it sounds, we're glorifying the person that's getting it off and selling it to you, but we never want to talk about what comes with that other side. And we never talk about how us as just adults, we do the same thing, we just don't take it to that level. Bro, when I'm with the homies and you going out, we drinking to get drunk.
Right.
If I don't smoke, but if you the homies that smoke, if you smoke, you smoking to get high. I'm trying to figure out, why do you have more moral, oh yeah, I just do that, but I don't do the coke.
Right.
Okay? You don't have to do coke to be drunk enough to do something crazy. You don't know, if you're not, depending on who you are, you may not know what was laced, or you could.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, stop. Like I said, that all of that stuff, like that was my issue with it. Like, do I agree with it? Do I think it's cool? No. But I really took a good look at myself and said, I like to drink, I don't smoke, but I don't have a problem with people that smoke. I don't have a problem with people that do whatever it is their vice is. I want them to be safe and I want them to be healthy though. And I understand if you do it at a certain level, the consequences that come with it. Right. But I just think it's so funny how me and you, and we're using us as the public, are able to do that. But as long as we do it in the privacy of our own home or on a smaller level, we think we're somehow better than someone else. And this is the example I'm using this is the difference between when you go into a Food Line and you steal a pack of bubble gum, or you go into the bank and you rob the whole thing, the whole vault. You're a thief.
Yeah, either way you cut it, yeah.
But it's not the same. But that's how it starts.
Right. That's true.
That's how it starts. And again, I just want to close this piece about it by saying, and you don't have a right to tell someone how they cope with things.
Absolutely.
Now, me, myself, personally, I've slowed down a lot when it comes to drinking, when it comes to this, that, the third. I do a lot more gym, a lot more meditation, prayer, spending more time with my family. A conversation that we've been having a lot in general is, and everybody probably on camera is like, yeah, this is true about Q. I limit the type of conversations, certain times, certain day. I'm very much like, yeah, hit me up next week, or send me an email instead of sending me a text, or yeah, bro, what time you want to do that call? Nah, it's gonna cut into my family time. I'm gonna be eating dinner around there. Limiting the amount, you know what I'm saying, of different things that I do. So the whole trying to tell somebody they need to cope with something, you're talking about we're modern day, no war, never been in the military, but I have PTSD. Me and you were joking, when you came in, we were laughing. You were like, yo, you want me to lock that top lock? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I'll close this and I'll. And you see where I live, bro. There's no. I'm not saying nothing's gonna happen ever, but I'm saying this ain't that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I could probably leave my door open for a week and nobody gonna come in here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say this is the way that we were brought up. This is the way that we were raised, and you hear it in the music, and you hear people telling you about how it's scary and life is. And those are the people that are making some of the best music, is they're showing you and telling you how crazy life can be. Now imagine, we're talking imagine Kid Cudi, but if you plugged him, and don't get this twisted, I know Kid Cudi, has his own stuff, but imagine Kid Cudi plugged in the middle of the baddest neighborhood in Chicago. So you already feel a way because you're emotional, because you're a teenager and you're a young man, and you have all this access to all this social media and all these different things in your brain, and you may have issues at home, and people are dying every day. That's the result. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just, my whole thing is, I feel where certain people are coming from, but the level of judgment is so funny when you're just a smaller version of that. Yeah. Yo, man, you need to be healthy. You need to be healthy. Yeah, that dude's fat. He needs to be healthy. Just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy.
Facts.
This is what we're doing in society. We're just pointing people out and saying, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
I'm not this. No, you are that. It just didn't catch up with you. Oh, you're broke. But if you miss 2 paychecks, you're broke too.
Right. Yeah, because people still live paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So,
But I'm just saying, you're in the same exact boat as everyone else, but we wanted it to be, and we want to create this narrative that I'm so different. And the real narrative is I'm better than you.
yeah, that's really the underlying tone.
The underlying tone is I'm better than you, and I'm not weak. You're weak. Yeah. See, I sell drugs, you do drugs, but you don't see yourself as an issue or the problem.
Right.
You're a junkie. But again, like I said, the same person that says I sell drugs and you do drugs, when they celebrate the same way the junkie celebrates. They get high, they drink, they do whatever it is that their vice is.
Right.
But just because you don't do it to a level to where you can't function when you're doing, because there's functioning alcoholics, there's functioning, you're better than someone else. And I just think it's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how I feel about it. But like I say, like, rest in peace, Juice. Yeah. All the information will come out. I know they're probably, I know they're getting everything ready for, funeral and all these different things. But like, that dude was a good dude. He had a rough life. He got successful very, very quickly. And he had a lot of demons, you know what I'm saying? Which we all do, right? Yeah. So, things went the way they went. But I'm not interested in hearing all these other things that people have to say or whatever until all the facts are out. I'm tired of seeing it allegedly. Yeah. No, what happened? And if the homies that I know that's his peoples ain't confirming it, I don't want to hear it.
No, facts, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's like, to your point, when something happens, rest in peace, condolences, all that extra, your opinion about whatever is fine as long as you're reflecting in the mirror and going like, wow, that could have been me. That's what you're supposed to do when someone passes away. Yeah. You stop. That's why you see these certain rappers going like, yo, I think I said Trippie Redd. Yeah, Trippie Redd. Yo, bro, he was like, I'm cool. I'm not even gonna be on. I love that. I like that response better than, see, that's the problem, man, because they do. Yeah, you don't know what it's like, but y'all saying this, but y'all forgetting what the lifestyle, what the home life look like, and where's the father, where's this, what's that, like who's raising them, is the community raising them? Like, there's so many things that go into what makes us what. Stop doing that. Stop doing the I'm better than you because whatever. No.
Yeah, people are quick to cast stones when they live in a house of glass. You know what I'm saying? That's one of my favorite sayings, because you see it all the time. Somebody puts themselves on a pedestal made out of glass, and they throw stones at everybody. And when somebody throws a stone back, their whole pedestal they were standing on shatters, because the truth comes out. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the night, you lay your head down on the pillow, you know what your life is like. You know what your truth is and what your reality is. No matter what you want to portray on social media.
Ooh, I love that.
Everybody knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I said, every time I see situations like this, I'm reminded of how blessed I am, and I'm also reminded why I need to stay focused and make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because that could be me. Absolutely. Q, it couldn't be you because you don't.
It could be
that
you,
could be me.
But under a different circumstance. You know what I'm saying?
That's all I'm saying.
Under a different extreme, it could be you.
That's all I'm saying.
No, absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, we'll wrap that one up. Rest in peace, Juice WRLD.
Absolutely, man.
Hopefully, his family, gets the consolation and sauce that they need.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So on a lighter note, you used to work with, or do you still currently do tour managing for a designer?
No, I don't, man. Gotcha. Shout out D, man.
Yeah. He's actually smart as hell though. He's actually really smart.
He's not only is he intelligent, designer is one of the artistically in the studio. Mm-hmm. He's one of the hardest working artists I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of artists, big, small, whatever. Yeah. One of the hardest working artists I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I don't tour manage him anymore. I can talk a little bit about that. Okay. But I just wanted to that point, I want to tell people, like, when I tell you that dude, we all have things that we could do that's better. But when I tell you from an artist standpoint of view, and me looking from a co-management, tour manager, publicist, from me seeing all these different hats that I wore and was able to be there in front with him, I'll give you this is a quick example of how hard he works. We were in London at this club called Tape. Mm-hmm. I love Tape. It's so dope. But there's a studio in the club.
Studio in the club.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's fire too. It's so dope. And this man, designer, we were in the club. We were celebrating. We had a show. I think this was our Adidas. I think this was it was some Adidas promo thing that we were doing. And you know, later that night we went to the club. This was when the mannequin challenge was going on, so it was super dope, super lit. And but we were in the club for maybe like an hour. He disappeared into the studio, and we were in the studio till the club shut down. They almost, like, they literally had to politely tell us, "Y'all got to go home." And he was in there working and working and working to the point where it's like, I was like, this stuff is dope. I was about to fall asleep out this mug. I'm like, he is a workaholic, and he really loves this, and he really loves this, and he's really passionate about it. And you know, I'm glad that you know, he's out of his Def Jam Good Music situation now. Which is what he wanted. He felt like he wasn't getting the support and different things that, you know, he felt like he needed.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot with Good Music. I saw who was it that was saying they were having issues with that and not getting publicity. I think Cudi was saying something about that at some point.
It's a handful of artists. Good Music has signed a lot of acts, so it's a lot of people that feel like. So I can speak now. I'm saying that. Shout out to D. Now let me speak as I came into this situation I started as a publicist, same way. I always kind of start situations as a publicist, and then because I get connected, and you know, they whatever. So I started as
working they like.
I started as a publicist. So what happened is we started working the Panda record. So I digitally integrated Panda, which basically means that the song was already, you know, started to catch, you know, get legs, different things like that. Shout out my boy D-Rock, the producer, who actually is Pop Smoke's uncle.
Oh man. Pop Smoke's on the card for Something to Water as well. There you go. But continue, please.
Hint, right? Say, let me stop. But no, I had nothing to do with that. I was just being funny. But so D-Rock is actually the person who got me involved in that whole situation. And at the time, he was working with DJ Envy, and he was actually he hit me up to do some work with him. And I checked the stuff out that he had or whatever, because he was a producer, but he was switching into artist mode. And just to be perfectly candid, I wasn't really a fan. But I replied to him and just was like, "Hey, bro," I was like, man, I really appreciate you reaching out. I was like, I checked everything out. I was like, you know, it's cool. I was like, I don't really think it's for me. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to help you, particularly with this.
That's weird. I mean,
And he hit me back and was just like, he was like, cool. And you know, we got on the phone after that, and we just continued to build a rapport. And he just was like, "Yo, bro, you know why I rock with you?" I was like, "Why?" He said, "Because you could have ignored me." He said, "You could have tried to diss me. You could have tried to do a whole bunch of stuff." I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was a producer that had credits for, you know, The Game and Jeezy and Fab. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
This is so one of his biggest claims to fame. He's produced for a lot of people, but is One Blood. So he's the guy that, you know, did the One Blood beat.
Yeah.
So when he said that, and he started to tell me who he was and different things, and I was like, wow. Having a certain level of humility and respect for people just put me in a situation I didn't even know that was going to end up changing my life, because it changed my life being connected to the designer situation. That's how but just being nice, that changed my whole life.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that in there. Anybody that, like, you start to get to a point to where you feel like, man, I ain't got to do this, that, and the third. Your life could be changed by being polite. Yeah. I didn't even tell him yes. I said no. Politely.
Right. That's the key though.
Like,
that's the key.
No ego, no nothing, you know. But again, fast forward. So I would think I was supposed to be helping him with DJ Envy and his site and kind of helping them out on some PR stuff. But that ended up not happening. Envy ended up not like redoing his site or whatever. Okay. But I just kept the relationship with Rock, and Rock calls me out of nowhere one day and says, "Q, there's a kid from Brooklyn. His name is Designer. He was like, he got a song out called Panda." He said, I think Panda was out, and I think Zombie Walk was out too. Okay. And he says, "Q, this is it." He said, "It's about to be out of here." He said, "This is that Bobby Shmurda. This is that." Like, he was just naming. Now, mind you, I'm not just gonna listen. I'm not just listening to him. I'm listening to him because remember, I know who he is now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, and a real quick tidbit that I have to mention is that the thing that took me over the edge with his level of respect was not just how he handled the whole when I was like no thing. Mm-hmm. When we were doing the Envy stuff, he said he was gonna put me on the phone with Envy.
Oh wow. Like we're talking like DJ Envy, like Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
DJ Envy.
exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Man.
He said I'm gonna put you on the phone with Envy. Mm-hmm. And the next week, I was on the phone with Envy.
Oh, man.
And I just was like, whoa. It's one thing for people to say something, even for them to have status.
Right.
People talk a lot. They don't really do things.
That is true.
We didn't even end up doing anything past that for Envy. But the fact that he said that and he just put it together so quick, and I started to realize who he was and the way that he moved, I was like, this is not somebody that just calls people about anything.
Right.
And he was persistent and still working with me in a capacity, even though I said no originally. Mm-hmm. He saw something and knew something about myself that I didn't know about myself at that time. Because otherwise, why would he feel energy drawn towards me to have me involved? Absolutely. So that's why I say he called me designer, whatever, boom, boom. Fast forward, he introduces me to a designer's manager, who is Xana Ray. And bro, I just was doing PR. I just was doing PR for free. I didn't know. I just everything I did in the beginning was for free. I was the first person. I made the first DJ service pack for him. I made the first press releases, everything. And so this is before he even has a deal offers or anything. This is Panda, and we're moving. So I did all the PR, and fast forward. Of course, he gets the offer. He signs, he goes Good Music, which of course, Good Music is under Def Jam and Universal, UMG, that's the whole, whatever. And I don't really hear anything. I'm kind of talking to Xana back and forth a little bit through D-Rock, whatever. Xana says the day after he signed, it was one of the Yeezy season. Shoot, I don't even know what it is now. How many of them, but it was the big one they did at Barclays or whatever. Yeah. And the song was playing, and this was the song. It was "Father Stretch My Hands," which is the remix. Whatever. Right. So everybody was hitting me up, and I was like, "Yo, Q, isn't this the joint you?" Whatever. So then I found out later. Whatever. I found out a little bit before that he had got signed. So the next day he got signed. That's when I met him. That's the picture that everybody sees with me and designer, and I got my hand around him. That was the day after he signed. It was the first time I met him in person. Okay. It was the first time I met Xana in person. I had met D-Rock, a couple times or whatever. Right. But that happened, not gonna lie, a couple weeks went by. Of course, when you're a new artist and putting stuff together, you went from, no money in your account to a couple million, right. And now you're Kanye West's new artist. So things took time. I'm a patient person. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I didn't get paid anything, but I knew, I felt it. I think it was like week 3. I want to say D-Rock connected me again or something in the email with Xana or whatever it was. Xana calls me, and because I'm just doing PR stuff at this, because all the original, like all the early, like as soon as he got signed to press stuff, I set all that stuff up. Yeah. Even to the point to where Xana and D would go into the offices and they'll be like, "Yeah, man, Q was telling us, Q was telling us, which made me feel super good, because I was like, man, yo, my hard work is paying off. Not just because of some name droppy thing, for the fact that they didn't know me, and I'm living in Virginia, and they're in New York, and they're shocked that I'm so connected to all these people in these buildings. Right. You know what I mean? And they didn't know me. We talked about earlier. They didn't know who I was. I was just some guy D-Rock said can help. Oh man. And I did. Right? Okay. So yeah, man. So from there, fast forward, Xana called me out the blue and was like, "Yo, Q, thank you for everything." She said, "How would you feel about me and my co-manager with designer and tour managing him?" And I said, "Co-manager?" She said, "Yeah, she has a management company called Xana Ray Management." So that's the original contract designer assigned to. So Xana Ray Management, technically, then Good Music, then Def Jam, and then of course Universal. Okay.
Makes sense.
And I said, "Yeah, what you talking about?" Right. She was like, "Yeah, I want you to be my male counterpart." She was like, "There's a lot of people that do a lot of different things. She said, but I think I need a male counterpart. And she was also just like, you're seasoned. Like, clearly, you know what to do. You know what's going on.
Right.
But even though I was technically her co-managing D with her with Xana Ray management, really what I was doing was tour managing.
Okay.
Because I was that's the capacity and the function, but I was really tour managing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But mind you, I was already the publicist, so a lot of managerial duties, if I wasn't specifically doing them, I was still the person that would be like the middleman or the go-between. Like, of course, he was it was a joint management deal with Stephen Victor as well. So, Stephen Victor, shout out Stephen Victor, Virginia Push, all that. So he was him and Xana co-managed designer.
Gotcha.
So I was like kind of like the middleman, kind of helping like flow out for when they would do different things.
Right, so if there was like a two-person vote, you would be the tiebreaker in a sense.
Not necessarily the tiebreaker, but I would definitely be the person that would just kind of communicate, what it was. You know what I mean? Because of course, when you're coming early in, you're not always you're gonna bump heads.
Right.
Especially when you're a new young manager and Steven's someone that's been around for a while, and he has a certain way that he likes to do stuff in a certain way, and it's worked. So, people do whatever. So I was just there to kind of like, a lot of stuff that I did was kind of like buffering, like control management, different things like that. But yeah, man, tour management. So yeah, then, that's when the tour management came, man. First time I did so many things. Got my passport.
Nice.
Started traveling, out of the country, around the country. Just different cities, different, like people that I built relationships over the years that I never met in person because I just couldn't.
You got to meet. Nice.
I realized the power of the internet and building relationships and building rapport because it translated in real life. Every single one, it translated in real life. I'm talking about talking to people online and they could be looking as, like me and you, like, oh, clean guys, whatever. But if we in the trap, my relationship that I have with them there, they're like, yeah, Q, yo, you good, whatever you need. Seeing people like, whatever, sending the goons, whatever, they say, yo, Q, yeah, I'm like, yo, y'all want to come? They're like, oh, nah, we don't do that. But they was like, but we got people watching for you. You good? You good? And I was like, I'm getting that type of love because we built a relationship online?
Right, exactly.
And that's when I started to be like, whoa, this is like, I was like, yo, it was love. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but man, it was so fun, man, moving around with them, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a little later. It was a little later in my life. I think I maybe 2 years. Yeah, how long have I been? We've been in this house for 2 years. I think we were in Alexandria. I think I'm maybe like about 2 years removed from that situation. Like I said, I decided to kind of leave that situation. Like I said, it was on New Year's. Yeah. And I thought it was just a situation. I thought I was just making a personal decision because I felt like, it was just time for me to move on and do some other things. Because at this point it was, it was the pinnacle, it was the peak. I mean, if you have the #1 song in the world, if you're Grammy nominated, I mean, you got everything that you get out of a record, Billboard 100 award. Like there's nothing, there's really nothing else to do. Radio, whatever. I mean, you could not hear that anywhere. You know what I'm saying? The movie placements were coming in, all of the TV show placements, all of these things. I think we just did the Big Champs endorsement deal. I think we were fresh off the outlet tour that we did with Boost Mobile, which was amazing. Nice. Boost Mobile, like, if you're an artist, don't sleep. Like they got the bag, and if you can figure it out the right way and put it together, dope. They can make some dope stuff happen. Okay. Shout out Stephen Victor. That was a Stephen Victor plug. Nice. he did a lot of plugging. Yeah, it was time. It was time for, because at that time I put a lot of things on the back burner. Because I want to paint the picture, because I was telling you about the whole Gashi thing. Yeah. So for me, in a PR capacity, from Young Money on, and everything I did there, which of course, like I said, a lot of people they know the story of whatever, which is the reason why a lot of people hit me up now just off of that, like nothing else. So the next big thing that I would say that kind of really I would say really took it to the next level was Gashi, like I said, which is how, again, I was talking about, you know, how I got connected with Juice WRLD and all that.
Right.
But around that, but you got to remember, this is me coming off of, I'm off of IDK, who was JIDK at the time. So I'm no longer co-managing him. I'm no longer doing PR for him. This is like not too far removed from Subtrap.
Okay.
You know, because I was there in the beginning too. I love it. I love the fact that I'm always there in the beginning because it as you can see, it shapes the type of person I am and what my company does and how it helps. Serves as like a launching pad for people's, you know, careers and different things.
Absolutely.
So I think I was just stepping away from working with IDK. We were all the way full throttle with Bia. Shout out to Bia and Rush now. They got that, you know, the best, is it best in the world? Was it best in the world or best ever in the world? Whatever that record is, it's fire.
Yeah.
But I was working with Bia. And Designer, and Gashi, but Designer was, if we just keeping it black and white, he was the leading. This was the guy that was bringing it in. Again, like I said, I was co-manager now, so I was getting paid. You know, I was getting paid, and you know, not just from them, but then I just was, now more people wanted to actually really spend the money in order to kind of like allow us to just do certain things and maintain the lifestyle because they feel like now I'm proven. I was proven on a certain level when it comes to Yan, on a local level, as far as like what people say, oh, you can do something and help somebody become national. But the Designer thing was, no, in the real world, like in the big world of entertainment, you actually can do something that could, you know, change the perception of someone being a budding up and coming artist to now they're a household name and you are a part of that story.
Yeah, never get it huge, bro.
And never get it twisted. I never say I was the sole catalyst in, no. I was a part. There's a lot of moving parts that comes in with breaking an artist and them being successful. Don't get this twisted at all. I'm just saying I understand the role and the piece that we played. And a lot of times early on, we played a lot of roles and wore a lot of hats. You know what I'm saying? And I had no problem with it. I'm so glad that I did. But that was the pinnacle. Like I said, for me, when we started thinking, it was the pinnacle. And me and Sabrina had to talk. That's what we read. Me and Sabrina had to talk. And I just was like, you know, like I said, it was like some personal things, but more business than personal. The personal things make it easy to walk away from certain things because you might be like in your feelings. But if you know that the business doesn't make sense anymore either, even if you did it more for personal reasons, business-wise, it was a better decision.
Right.
So me and Sabrina talked, and Sabrina was like, we got everything. She was like, we got everything. She said, people know what we can do. She said, I don't understand why we are not going to go home, regroup, get an office, hire a staff, and do this thing. Yeah. That's why I love Sabrina, because that's her. Like, her whole thing is always like, yo, you're dope, and we're killing it, but you don't think that this is the pinnacle of what we're doing, right? You're a publicist. We're a PR agency. That is one client. As dope as all of this stuff is, and you're on tour and you're doing all of these things and get money and clothes and this and that and all of these different things that are going on and you're traveling, don't lose sight that at the end of the day, me and you are the co-founder of Medium PR Agency. You are not, like, your title isn't designer's publicist, designer's co-manager, tour manager. Like, that's some stuff. Yeah. But this all started because of Medium PR Agency. That is one client. Dog, when she like broke that joint down, I was like, you're right. She was like, we still got Bia and Gashi. And I think we were, in the beginning, I think we were working with, like I said, I think we were Kim X, Chu Jackson, Clay James, who was signed to Snoop Doggy Style Records. Okay. He actually just had a resurgence. He just had a resurgence. So I should be working with him a lot more in 2022. 2020. But we did the whole, the dopest thing about working with, I gotta just interject this. The dopest thing about working with Clay James was that me doing PR for him, I built it around the resurgence of Doggy Style Records. So we were able to, we were getting like Rolling Stone articles, Fader, this, that, and it was all wrapped around technically the relaunch of Doggy Style Records, but Clay James was the artist. Nice. So they were trying to figure out, I did not directly work with Snoop Dogg. Everybody, like, think about me, people know I'm very transparent. I'll let you know exactly what I did, what I didn't. I don't have to take credit for stuff that I didn't have anything to do with. Right. I never worked with Snoop directly on anything. I was only Clay James' publicist, but single-handedly, we are the people that in the media made people realize that Snoop had relaunched his label. Just because I wanted to go hard for Clay, so I could so I wanted to make it make sense. Because you have to think about who that mean I was working with at the time. That means at one given time, this is who Medium was working with. It was all within the same block. Kanye West, designer. Pharrell, Bia. Snoop Dogg, Clay James. And then we did the deal a little bit later. So technically, no, we did the Rock Nation. Gashi did the Rock Nation deal first. So then it was Gashi, Jay-Z. This is what Medium was looking at that for like that 6. It was like between the 3 to 6. Yeah. And that was what my wife was trying to tell me. She was like, we're an agency. We have clients. You don't have one client. And of course I knew that, and of course I was still helping, but when she really broke it down, like I said, and that's where Medium PR Agency was really born, as far as like us really being like, yo. Yeah, nice. And we just capitalized, and this is no diss to designer and everything like that. Of course, yeah. But we left, like I said, that was maybe 2 years ago. Maybe 3 months, 4 months later, it was kind of done. He was kind of done. And I'm not saying done like, because he's still out here doing his thing. I'm talking about being the artist, like the number one and people caring and all these different things. Like it wasn't, no. That was over. That was over, and we were already removed from the situation, already on to the next, things that would come. So my wife again, like, what I'm saying? Like I said, and that's how business is supposed to be ran and grown. And I'm so thankful to have a wife that understood, a friend, a business mind that was like, yo, all of this stuff is dope, but this is not even the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I was about to say, you got a good one, man, because for her to be able to recognize, one, okay, this is what we need to change, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to focus on. Right. Living this life is cool, but don't get caught up in it because
it's temporary.
Remember what we were talking about earlier, you get comfortable. When you get comfortable, you get complacent.
Exactly. It was just like, she was just so right. And I was like, dang. And she was like, yeah. And guess what? The best part was? What's that? I was on tour. When I came off tour, I wasn't answering my emails. Because every time somebody would hit me, unless they were the couple staple artists that we had, I would say, I can't, I'm busy. We had tons of emails. All we did for the next 6 months was just answer old emails. Oh, man. The money was flowing. And it wasn't just, before it was just more up and coming artists. Now it's, oh, they did that? Oh no, now it's labels. Now it's managers. Now it's mainstream artists. Yeah. Now it's big name managers. Now it's brands. Now it's, and mind you, while all this is going on, Sabrina's going crazy with the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's alone what she does with the camera and how she moves and what she did. Her brand was just.
Yeah, so y'all building multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. That's
and it was all under the guise of Medium PR Agency, because essentially Medium PR Agency is Cornell Holder and Sabrina Voss. At the time, Sabrina Voss Holder now, but at the time, like that was us. And again, dang, it's crazy. You just made me think about that. That really was what Medium was. It really was us. And the dope thing about this, while all this was going on, was the fact that people used to think, before we started hiring staff and got interns and all those different things, they used to think it was, same thing I said to you. They used to think it was at least 10, 15. They was like, no way.
Not just 1 or 2 people.
No way. It was like, no way.
Oh man.
How could the presentation be this good? How could you have this knowledge of information? How do you know how to maneuver and do these different things? But it was all through trial and error. A lot of this stuff I learned, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this stuff I learned, man, it was with Jan. Jan was my first, and I always got to shout out, when it comes to Jan, I always have to shout out Samandi, at Patchwork Studios now. She's the head graphic designer. I always have to shout out Samandi. Always have to shout out Batman, Dark Knight, ENT. Always have to shout out, of course, Pusha T.
Yeah.
Always have to shout out. Am I missing anybody? No. Oh, always have to shout out. His name is Kane, because Kane from is Kane from Fredericksburg? I don't know. I can't remember. I think he's from Fredericksburg. I think he's from here. He's either from Fredericksburg or he's from Richmond. But he's actually the first person that I ever put emails together. He's a dope rapper. He works with Static Select a lot. I think he just moved to LA or something. Oh, but he was the first person that I ever sent a PR. I didn't know that what it was a PR email for, and I just did it because it was for a video called Grassroots Tangent. And I thought it was dope. And I was like, man, I got all these other friends and we all have blogs, because I was still in my media personality, bag or whatever. And I sent it out. And I sent this to like 200 something emails. And only like 10, 15 of them, only like 20 people hit me back or something. And maybe only like 10 people posted it. I was so happy.
Oh man.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. I didn't know what that was yet. Right. I didn't understand. You got to remember, like I said, I was still transitioning away from streetwear, and I was still transitioning away from, and I was still blogging. I was really a media personality. You know, a lot of people, like how I got really established in entertainment, past the clothing line stuff, was I was the content manager at Hip Hop since 1987. So a lot of people knew me in the media personality space.
How are you not verified on like social media? That's crazy.
I'm verified on Twitter.
Okay, so you got
the only reason why I'm not verified on Instagram is just because I haven't updated my Wikipedia, but I actually got a DM from Wikipedia that was like, yo, if you need help with updating your Wikipedia, because mine got pulled down because there wasn't enough valid sources, because Wikipedia goes through and checks, all that you have. But that was from like, I think I did that like a year or 2 years ago. I have so much stuff now that it's like ridiculous. Right. But and the stuff was true, but they need. This sounds crazy, but I'm gonna just give y'all a little Wikipedia, like the thing about Wikipedia. You can do something and someone can know it, but in order for Wikipedia to verify it, you have to have an article or an interview that they can link that verifies that you do whatever it is that you say that you do. So I was just like, in my Wikipedia, I'm going through and saying all these things that I did. But in order to verify some of the stuff, I would have to do like what we're doing. And I have to be in an interview and say I did it. And then this has to get posted. And then they can link it to this to verify it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So my page got pulled down. But Wikipedia actually DM'd me maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and was like, hey, if you need help with whatever. So I'm gonna get that done, then I'm gonna get that verified. Nice. And then I'll go ahead and get the other one. But I do help. That's one of the services that we do. We help people get verified, but it ain't. I hate the fact, like, I just wanted to say this out here, like, you gotta have a reason to get verified. Like, I was humbling just to even hear you say, how are you not verified? To me, that is you saying, because of the things that you've done, it would make sense. Because I know people that I'm not sure what they've done or what they have going on. Yeah. But just from what you're telling me, you're like, whatever. And that's why it's dope, because it's like, yeah, I agree. But I'm saying those are the type of caliber people. And that's not me trying to big myself up. I'm saying some people want to be verified, but it's like, but what do you do?
Exactly. You have to have a cloud. And honestly, like, I see people like, so obviously news personalities, they get verified all the time.
Right. They're directly connected to that publication.
So
right.
They verify all the time, but they might have 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Few hundred followers, you know what I'm saying? So a verified check does not necessarily mean.
Come on, speak on it. Speak on it.
You know what I'm saying?
Speak on it. But I like the fact that you said it, because you're getting to the point and the root of why people are verified. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that was dope. But yeah, man, like I said, so bro, like I said, like just that little snapshot of what Medium looked like was the man. Bro, and going and forever now, there are certain things that we're attached to and we've done. And like, I think, what's dope too is like, there's campaigns that people don't even know. Like, a lot of people didn't know that I even worked with Juice WRLD until they saw the post and the passing. But one of my favorite things that I got to do when it came to Juice World was I got to connect him. I brought him over to Audiomack. And this is a great time for me to just quickly talk about Audiomack and that platform. And this is a time for me to go ahead, first off, shout out IDK, because if it wasn't for me doing PR and co-managing IDK and running around in New York, I would have never met T-Gut, Brandon, TJ Mizzle, who's Jam Master Jay's son. He's Ferg's tour DJ. Ponte. I just got to meet everyone at DJ Booth. Not DJ Booth, at Audiomack, which is DJ Booth's it's like their sister, the sister company or whatever. Right. And we were just doing, and they were just, whatever. And it's like fast forward. I took like that relationship fast forward now to where I'm a curator, you know what I'm saying? And, it's just so dope, man. It's like I get paid. That's something that I get paid to do on my time, from my taste, for my state, for Virginia, when it was Virginia. But now it's for the whole region. I get to highlight and spotlight us. But yeah, I brought Juice WRLD over to Audiomack. You know what I'm saying? And then it was crazy, like around the time that I think it was like when the baby was just born, Zanif. He got the plaque. Juice WRLD was the first person to get the big plaque from Audiomack for hitting a certain amount of streams.
Yeah, the RIA certification.
No, not the RIAA certification. That's a separate one. But he got the but on the Audiomack platform, he had so many streams. And it's crazy to know that, like, I fought for it. I was like, yo, y'all not hip to Audiomack? Like, yo, we need to, and to see where it ended up going.
Right.
Just little stuff like that, bro, gets me excited, because it's like, yo, wow. Like, and he got, and I think it was during, I don't remember if it was during like Fashion Week or something, but like he got presented that by the label.
Nice.
And it made me feel like Audiomack and the label people and all these people were there, like in the picture. And out of my mind, I was like, yo, I did that. Like, that's not my job at Audiomack. Like, I did that because I believe in the platform. Right. I love Audiomack. And if I'm working with you in a PR capacity, why would I not want your music to be on as many platforms that are dope? Did I know that it was going to end up? Of course not. I didn't know that. But I still fought and was like, yo, we got it verified. We got all the songs trending.
Nice.
And it's just, again, like I said, and that's just cool stuff. But like I said, but yeah, from Juice WRLD, but like I said, just to, fast forward, I mean, something that a lot of people don't know too is like Yellow Beezy. I got a chance to work with Yellow Beezy early on too.
Okay.
I got to actually work, I think it was a Light Work. I can't remember if it was Light Work 1 or Light Work 2, the mixtape. But the lead single off that was Trappin' Designer, which is, if you know who Yellow Beezy is, you know that was the single right before he took off.
Right.
But I got to work that. I got to, basically my assignment was to repackage that record, put it back out, get the streaming numbers up, get the PR, get the blogs, all these different things, get the conversation and the buzz going. The dope thing about that is that record on SoundCloud, he had it on his SoundCloud, and it didn't get a lot of streams because he wasn't that big yet.
Right.
So I put it on my SoundCloud.
And went up.
Because I had a lot of streams. This is before I went over to Audiomack. Now, mind you, the reason why I had that was because SoundCloud and Audiomack, a lot of people don't remember. This is how long I've been doing this. SoundCloud and Audiomack, you used to be able to embed your SoundCloud link into Audiomack.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I had a big catalog. And that was also one of the reasons how I used to break a lot of different records, because I used to build up my personal catalog on my page, and then I would use that to push out premieres and different things like that. All of this stuff was really just to kind of build my brand up, within the process, because a lot of the stuff that I was doing was for free. Like, I was doing like early stuff like Core, shout out Core from Philly, like Core. He had like records with like Meat Mill and this and that, and all these other little records I was doing and working. But I said all that to say, there's a lot of artists that people don't know that I've worked with, that it's going to keep being revealed. I was trying to find out a cool way to talk about like some of the work that I got to do with Yellow Beezy. The way that I like to say that I was working or helping with people, I like to do it in an organic way though, because I hate when people try to put something up like they broke an artist. No, Yellow Beezy was dope. I was hired to do a job. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even say why. The reason why I was doing that was because they were trying to set up a deal for him at Republic.
Okay, so brought you in for PR.
Yeah,
build his name up.
build his name before they do the signing. Okay. But they didn't do the signing. He ended up going with L.A. Reid for Hitco. Clearly, that was a great idea. It clearly was a great thing to do. It worked, but it's amazing for me to just kind of know, like, you know, it was just one of those things that I got opportunity to do. So, but it's like, yeah, sure. But I plan on 2020. I plan on letting people know more about how I was instrumental in a lot of different things, because I think people care, about the story. And like I said, that's how I built my brand. I built my brand on taking chances on people. That's what Medium is about. Taking chances.
Oh yeah, man. That's good that you offer that platform for people to build themselves, man. And I don't want to take up too much of your time now. We got to wrap. I think we're probably about to lose one of these camera angles because I'm ill prepared with the memory card sizes. Apparently, I need to go.
Nah, man. Listen, I can talk, brother, so I know.
Hey, we definitely gonna have to set up part 2, man. Just
right.
Go into more stuff. But
absolutely.
I think we got a lot of good stuff on this one, man. I think we'll just wrap it up with that. So, where can people find you at as far as social media is concerned, and how, if somebody wanted to reach out to you for publicity and PR, if you are offering that, how would they do that? Right.
So everything is my first and last name, which is Quinnell Holder, and it's actually under CoachQ. Okay. So I have my name is Quinnell Holder on everything, my first and last name. But if it's quicker for you to find it, because people have a hard time spelling my name and stuff, just type in CoachQ on social media and I'll pop right up. And also when you type my name in, it says CoachQ. I have my email in my bio and I have my website. There's literally no way for you to not professionally hit me up because I make it that easy. Okay. Nice. Yeah, so yeah, that and then QuinnellHolder.com, like I said, that'll be in the bio, and then MediumPRAgency.com. And then you can always follow, and then my wife too, Sabrina Boss Holder, something like that. You'll find her on my page. I feel so bad because I don't know her whole handle, but
no, it's cool. I mean, she really got married, so maybe she changed it.
Yeah, she switched it up, married, but the name changed, but check all that out. But yeah, that's a good. And as far as like the PR stuff, like I said, just email me. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of the year right now, and I ain't gonna lie, like I'm very picky. But
you have to be in this field of work,
Yeah,
you have to discern.
I'm very picky, but at the end of the day, like send it. Yeah. You never know.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah, you never know.
All right, brother. Well, hey, I appreciate you, man. I definitely want to, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come out here and meet you, and for inviting me in your home.
Of course, man. House,
by the way.
Of course. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, all right, y'all, make sure y'all go ahead and follow Coach Q on all social media platforms. He's out here killing the publicity game, man. He's out here making moves. Big moves to 2020 coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's only excited, brother. So I appreciate you, man. Once again, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. 75Junction out.